Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We are covering two different court cases, both set for upcoming hearings next week. First, we have a self-proclaimed active duty Marine who escalates things in court by threatening a judge with high treason and marking her for death, a shocking display that leaves everyone stunned. Then we move to a sovereign citizen case where the defense attorney actually steps away from representing her client because the arguments being made are so extreme she cannot ethically continue with the case. This is going to be intense, so let's get into it.
492, People versus Aaron Santana.
Code Word Miracle Baby of Boston.
Judge, just for the record, I would like to note he does need an out of custody application, but Attorney Alex Brock, representing Mr. Santana upstairs, and wanted to let the court know if there's anything they need him to say on the record. He will happily come down and let the court know.
I'll hereby represent myself.
All right, Mr. Santana, you don't want to apply for the public defender?
No, ma'am. I'll be representing myself.
Great. Mr. Santana, are you sure you don't want a lawyer to represent you here? You've had a lawyer in all your other cases, and they can give you legal advice and help you with things. Would you like, you had the public defender in the past, you've qualified for court-appointed counsel. Do you want to go and apply?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What do you want to do with your case then?
I motion to dismiss under double jeopardy. This case was dismissed under the competency law previously.
I may, Your Honor. I don't believe the case was dismissed. I think there were just no further proceedings happening up here, and the complaint was held in abeyance, and the DA could dismiss it if it wanted to, but it did not.
Objection. They waited to file an appointment for a hearing, which is a violation of the fair and speedy trial.
The complaint is still pending. We have some other matters set, so I think I'm going to set this over for competency advisement. Mr. Santana, you're absolutely positive you don't want to get an attorney?
Under the competency law, I've been cleared for competency twice. I'm not allowed to be deemed incompetent again. I hereby demand a court-martial. This is an active I'm an active enlisted Marine. This is a military operation to investigate conspiracy to operate a city-state within the territory of the United States.
All right, we're gonna have to set a competency advisement hearing.
I hereby demand a court-martial.
We're going to give
If you do not
another-
comply, this is high treason. You are marked for death.
All right, Mr. Santana, we're going to give you another court date. I'm going to advise you regarding competency.
Yes, ma'am. However, I have, as an active enlisted member of the U.S. Armed Forces, under the UCMJ, I am demanding a court-martial. If you do not comply, you are a traitor under the UCMJ, and you are potentially marked for death.
Go ahead.
February 9th at 11:30.
February 9th at 11:30, you need to be back here in court.
Yes, ma'am. February 9th at 11:30.
Yeah, if you want to write that down, you can. And if you have a change of heart and want to get an attorney, you need to go to the public defender's office and fill out the application.
I have a constitutional right to represent myself.
If you're competent to do so, yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's wise to charge the judge with high treason, and it's especially reckless to mark her for death, and I want to make it clear that the UCMJ does not apply to judges or civilians outside of very specific situations that do not fit here, so that argument really does not hold up, and I will definitely be keeping an eye on how this develops. But with that said, let's move on to the next hearing.
35. Mr. Smith appears in person with Ms. Hamilton. We do have Mr. Clark here for the people. Good afternoon. And how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, this has been an ongoing discussion of my conflict in representing the defense that Mr. Smith wants to present. I know we've had this discussion a few times. I think at this point, if he's not hiring a private attorney, I would ask that he consider representing himself going forward if he's going to present the right to travel defense.
Mr. Smith, how would you like to proceed in this case? You certainly have a right to have an attorney. As we've discussed before, attorneys are bound by their ethical obligations to the court and to the Bar Association and can't do certain things, including file motions that are frivolous, vexatious, etc. What I'm hearing is that Ms. Hamilton is in somewhat of that position in relation to your case. So knowing that you have a right to have an attorney, the right is not absolute in terms of requiring an attorney to be a mouthpiece, if you will. So how are you wanting to proceed?
Well, Your Honor, due to my financial hardship status, I'm unable to afford really any attorneys at all. I mean, I've tried to look into it, and the most I can get is legal advice, and it's hard to gather a mutual understanding as far as rights and the Constitution goes. And I'm not trying to blame anyone for that or anything. It's just the way things are. When I don't have the legal counsel to properly educate and advocate me in the rights and the logistics of the legal structure, I'm kind of a deer in headlights. I mean, I don't know the proper procedures or my options or any of that kind of thing. So with that said, I guess, I mean, I'm unable to afford an attorney, and I can't really find anyone that would step up and represent me for free. So I'm not sure how.
Well, that right there should already tell you that the smartest move is to listen to your attorney and let her do her job representing you properly. And if she is telling you that your so-called right to travel defense is nonsense, then that is probably something you should take seriously instead of ignoring it and trying to push the idea that laws somehow do not apply to you, because that approach is not going to hold up in court, and it only makes the situation worse. So at some point you have to step back, trust legal advice, and drop the whole argument that you are above the law.
However, what I'm hearing is that what you are asking her to do, she believes would be unethical on her part. So if you persist in requesting that of her, asking her to do something that she thinks would be in violation of the oath that she took, that puts her in a position where she's going to have to move to withdraw from your case.
I understand.
If that happens, you're not guaranteed to have another attorney be appointed to represent you. You certainly maintain the right to have an attorney, but not to have unlimited attorneys at no cost. One of the factors that the court needs to consider, if we were to get to that point, I'm not necessarily at that point at this moment. If we were to get to that point, one of the factors that a court needs to consider in determining whether appointing alternative defense counsel is appropriate is the degree to which the defendant's actions or inactions caused the conflict. What I'm hearing is that that might be at play. I'm not moving into a full burger root hearing, which is the type of hearing where we clear the courtroom and attorney-client privileged information may be divulged. We're not having that hearing. But I want to remind you that the ethical obligations that Ms. Hamilton has are the same ethical obligations that all attorneys have. So if Ms. Hamilton is experiencing an ethical situation with what you're asking her to do, it is likely, can't guarantee it, but it is likely that other attorneys will have that same conflict.
I understand.
So knowing that, what do you want to do in your case? You don't have to have an attorney, although you have a right to. If not, then you're going to be advocating for yourself, and you're going to be held to the same legal standards as a licensed attorney. So depending upon what happens with motions practice or motions hearings, you may or may not be able to do the things that you are asking your attorney to do.
Okay. Honestly, Your Honor, I'm not trying to pressure her into any unethical type of situation at all. I understand the situation, and I respect her standings on it. So I'm not trying to push that as an issue. I'm trying to simply just exercise my rights. And as far as my understanding, it's there's a conflict there, or some type of misunderstanding that I'm not sure how else to clear up if I don't have the legal counsel to
Properly advising you and actually advocating in your best interest. But the problem is you simply did not like what she told you because you are more convinced by some random internet voice than a licensed attorney who went through law school and understands how the system actually works. And maybe instead of trusting the jackass on the internet, you should look at the win-loss record of sovereign citizen arguments in real courtrooms, because that track record is not exactly in your favor, and at some point you have to decide whether you want to follow legal reality or keep doubling down on something that consistently falls apart in front of a judge.
Hamilton has advised you within the context and the confines of her ethical obligations. I'm not trying to get into attorney-client protected information, but what I'm hearing is that she has informed you of what she can and cannot do. You don't have to like it. If you don't want Ms. Hamilton to be your attorney any longer, you can make the request to relieve her of her services. You don't have to do that, but if you and her can't resolve the conflict that you may have, then that's a problem, obviously, because this is probably the second or third time that we've had this similar conversation, and the case is being unduly delayed. So, again, I'm asking you, what do you want to do in this case?
I'm to my understanding, it's pretty much down to representing myself is what I'm getting. So I think that's my only option. I'm like I said, I'm kind of uneducated in this legal process, so I'm kind of going off of assumption, really.
So what I'm hearing is that you want to relieve Ms. Hamilton of her services and you want to represent yourself. Is that accurate?
To a degree, yes. I mean, if her situation causes her to not be able to ethically provide the legal representation, then I don't think there would be any other option but for one of us to relieve ourselves of being here. So I'll need I would like to ask the courts for a little more time just to educate myself and try to get a little better understanding of what my actual rights are and how I can be protected by those.
So before we talk about a continuance, I want to clarify that you are seeking to relieve Ms. Hamilton of her services. Is that accurate?
I feel like I have no other option because she can't provide the legal representation. I mean, respectfully, I'm not trying to pressure her, like I said.
And you understand that in this case, you have 4 different counts. The most serious of those in terms of potential penalties is the failure to display proof of insurance. If you were to be convicted of that, you could receive up to a year in jail, a fine of up to $1,000 or both. Do you understand that?
I do.
Do you also understand that criminal law is a complicated area and attorneys trained in this field are and can be of assistance in assisting individuals to navigate that? You currently have an attorney, but there is, what I'm hearing, is a conflict. Do you understand that?
To an extent, yes. Yes, Your Honor.
What do you mean to an extent?
I haven't been provided the reasoning why. I mean, I understand the technical and ethical standpoints on it, but to explain it to me to where I understand it, I haven't been provided that. So I'm
not sure what you mean. What do you not understand?
As far as like why the exercising the freedom to travel would be such a issue, I guess. I mean, as far as I understand, it's part of the Constitution that
Everyone has equal protection under the law, including rights like legal counsel and self-representation and even general freedoms people like to argue about, such as travel, but none of that means those rights exist outside the actual legal framework or override how courts interpret and apply the law in real cases, and at the end of the day everyone is still accountable for what they say and do in court regardless of personal beliefs, and that is where the reality check usually comes in, because courtroom arguments are not decided by internet theories, they are decided by evidence, procedure, and established law. So if someone chooses to ignore that process, they are usually stepping straight into the consequences that follow in trial.
There's not a motion pending before the court, so I can't give you an advisory opinion. What I can say, generally speaking, is that the right to travel is not absolute. The manner and mechanism in which individuals travel is regulated by the state, and individuals using the public highways, for example, public roadways, etc., are bound by the state in relation to that. Now, when we're talking about freedom to travel generally, there is freedom of movement. However, again, the manner in which that occurs, the mechanism by which that occurs, a motor vehicle, for example, public highways, those are all constitutionally able to be regulated. And so individuals using the public highways and public roadways must comply with those rules and regulations, the statutes. So if an attorney is telling you that they can't file a motion that relates to something along those grounds, I don't know if that answers your question without giving you an advisory opinion. I cannot give you an advance opinion. Do you have any other questions?
No, Your Honor, I don't, not this time.
All right, so do you understand the top charge against you, that maximum potential penalty of up to a year in jail, a fine of up to $1,000? You have 3 other counts with lesser potential penalties. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And again, do you understand that you currently have an attorney who is authorized to give you legal advice? I cannot give you legal advice. And this is a complicated area. If you are representing yourself, then you'll be held to the same standard as a licensed attorney. Do you understand that?
Not completely,
What
but
don't you understand about being held to that standard?
the logistics behind that, as far as,
That's not the same thing. I cannot be your legal instructor. I cannot be a law professor. Do you understand that if you represent yourself, the standard is the same? Whether or not you know how to do it is a different issue.
yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Do you understand that having an attorney trained in this field, which you currently have, is a great benefit to someone in this situation?
Yes,
Do you also understand that attorneys cannot behave in a manner in which it is unethical to file frivolous motions that they know to be contrary to law? Do you understand that?
yes, Your Honor.
And do you understand that you cannot force an attorney to file a motion that they believe to be contrary to law?
Yes, Your Honor.
They could lose their law license.
That's not my intention.
So, in seeking to relieve Ms. Hamilton of her services, do you understand that you have a right to represent yourself? And, but in so doing, you run the risk of not properly presenting a defense or having a defense that you wish to have be presented. You run the risk of having that be denied as being unlawful. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you have any legal training, or how far have you gone in school?
For legal aspects?
Oh, this is going to be interesting. No legal training mixed with a belief system that is confidently wrong is pretty much the perfect recipe for trouble in court, and honestly in most real-world situations too, because the legal system does not bend to personal interpretations or internet theories. It runs on established law, procedure, and precedent. So when those things get ignored, things usually do not end well, and that is exactly why these cases tend to play out the way they do.
Into prescriptions that may affect your judgment.
No, Your Honor.
Do you understand the rights that you have?
To an extent, yes. To a personal understanding, I feel like that doesn't really match with the other understandings of the same Constitution. So I wish to educate myself in any way I'm feasibly and financially able to.
So when we're talking about the waiver of the right to counsel, do you understand you currently have an attorney, but what I'm hearing is you wish to relieve her of her services because she cannot present ethically the defense that you wish to present?
Correct.
All right. And is that what you want to do?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is anybody forcing you to do that?
No, Your Honor.
Is it your own voluntary choice?
To a degree, yes.
Well, it either is or is not.
Well, I do feel slightly pressured into it as far as there's no option there. So that's really the only option, is to relieve her of her public defense duties.
I want to make sure that you understand that you maintain the right to have an attorney despite this conversation. If you either can locate an attorney who can represent you at a cost that you can afford, or you hire an attorney, or you find a pro bono attorney who can ethically represent you. You keep that right, but just not with Ms. Hamilton
Yes,
or
Your
the
Honor.
public defender's office. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so is doing this your own voluntary choice?
Yes, Your Honor.
I find a knowing, voluntary, and intelligent waiver of the right to counsel. Again, noting that if you have an attorney who enters on the case, you're not prohibited from doing that, but they have to obviously be willing to do that. I will relieve Ms. Hamilton of her representation. I want to make sure that you understand a couple of other things. First of all, should we proceed to a motions hearing or to trial, then you have a right to present any defense or evidence that you wish. provided
No legal training mixed with a confidently flawed belief system is usually a straight path to failure in court, and that is exactly why these cases are worth watching, because reality always catches up eventually. But anyway, that wraps up today's video. I just wanted to set the stage for what is coming next week, because the next case is even more intense, involving a sovereign citizen situation that escalates quickly and leads to serious consequences, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. And if you enjoyed today's breakdown, hit the like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe with notifications on so you do not miss the next upload.